Cassie's gonna end up dead at the end of this series. Hey YouTube, welcome back to SIBZ, West Coast, East Coast siblings. Today we're covering episode 6 of The Flight Attendant. So let's get right into it. Actually, before we get right into it, don't forget to like this video if you like this video, comment, subscribe, and click the bell so you can be notified of all things SIBZ. Now let's get into it. Biggest takeaway number 1. In this episode, Annie does some soul searching and perhaps some soul finding. I think she's starting to come to the realization that she's a drunk. Actually, no, she's not coming to that realization. But she has a whole lot of memory flashbacks throughout this entire episode of her childhood. And she realizes that her dad did kind of abuse her brother, and her dad was a drunk, and maybe some of the conflict that happened between her dad and her brother was her fault. Now, while it probably wasn't her fault, it is good that she's realizing that these things did happen. Her memories are literally kind of like not being rewritten, but uncovered throughout this episode, which is not something she wants to deal with, but she does, and it's good because it will eventually make her a better person, one hopes. Biggest takeaway number 2, the lionfish warehouse is empty when the FBI comes to look at it. So obviously Max gets hit by a car, the FBI, then the police come, the FBI looks into the building, there's nothing there. So there are a couple things happening between the FBI agents. Now you got the one dude, the young guy whose name escapes me, pretty sure he's Jake Ryan from Hannah Montana, just throwing that out there. He doesn't think that Cassie is innocent. In fact, he thinks that she killed Alex. He thinks she and Alex knew each other before the flight to Bangkok, and now she's covering her tracks. But the other FBI agent, whose name also escapes me, she seems to be just on the cusp of discovering maybe it wasn't Cassie's fault, maybe there is something more going on than what meets the eye. Of course, she's right, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Also, the FBI agent that has been tailing Cassie this entire time gets murked. Dun dun dun. And to me, there's like a whole lot of mystery around, who murks and why, blah, 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 blah. But then you find out it's Miranda, which takes us to the biggest takeaway number 3. Biggest takeaway number 3, the flash drive is gone. Now, remember, this is the flash drive that has all the information on it that proves that there is a third party involved in this Alex Sokolov murder. His parents, Unisphere, and lionfish, so maybe there's like a 3rd, 4th, and 5th party involved. Anyway, the flash drive also contains a list of people on which all of those people are dead except for Cassie and Miranda. Almost ties back to Miranda killing the FBI agent, but first, someone tries to kill Miranda. It's pretty obvious that Victor is trying to kill Miranda. So that makes you wonder if the list of people that has everyone dead on it except for Cassie and Miranda belongs to Victor. And then that connects Victor to Unisphere, Lionfish, and the Sokolovs. It could be Victor for sure. Back to Miranda. She kills the FBI tail. I'm not really sure why she kills him. She has to have known that he's been tailing Cassie, but maybe she thinks because he's tailing Cassie, he'll eventually catch up with her, report it to the FBI, and then they'll be like, oh, maybe Cassie isn't a nut. There is someone named Miranda following her around. Who knows? Anyway, she kills him, and that brings us to why we were talking about Miranda in the first place. She posts Cassie's bail after Cassie's wild night with the mysterious Buckley. Now getting into some speculation in this episode. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of teeny tiny detail that we have to pay attention to and kind of break down. So one of the things is throughout the episode, she's having these flashbacks. She can't escape her own mind and her own memories. And Alex is constantly there doing weird things, talking to her and whatnot. So one of the images that flashes by, it's her lying on that bench outside of Alex's hotel room. And then I remembered that there is at some time that night that's not accounted for. The time that Cassie leaves the room and potentially the murderer comes in and kills Alex. Cassie obviously isn't there, so she's not dead. But you wonder, 1, why did Cassie leave the room? 2, why did she come back? Did Alex ask her to leave? And then the killer come in and kill, like, did Alex know he was gonna die? Questions that need answers for sure. I think that's so strange that she left the room on a wild one-night stand. And that that's the only time Alex was alone. Therefore, it's the only window he could have been murdered in. Another image that flashes through Cassie's mind during this sort of mental insanity is Alex dead on the bed with his throat slit. next to a dead deer. Earlier in the episodes, Cassie is out shooting with her father. She kills a deer, I believe. That imagery, I think, is strange. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about that. Like, why would she see that? Why would she see a dead deer next to Alex if she's not subconsciously wondering if she killed him? Another thing I wanted to note is that someone is killing Miranda, right? So we said that before in the third biggest takeaway. But the question is, why? If it's Victor, I suppose Victor is trying to clean up dirty ends, tie closed ends. He's trying to get rid of Miranda because she knows too much about him and Alex and the Sokolovs and all that drama. Oh, also want to note that the Sokolovs hate Miranda. So she's definitely a third party. She's definitely not, you know, in league with the Sokolovs and their mysterious laundering money and smuggling rockets. But is anyone else trying to kill Miranda? See, she's on that list, right? So that makes me think maybe Victor. However, what if someone else is trying to kill Miranda? Because Victor is not trying to kill Cassie. Maybe someone else owns that list. Big question, will Max survive being hit by a car? We don't have any information from Annie about Max other than he's in major surgery, and it seems like he's been in major surgery for the entirety of this episode, so it's probably a long surgery with not great outcome. So we'll see. But the importance about Max being dead or alive is that he's the only person other than Miranda who can corroborate Cassie's story. That is very important because if there's no one to confirm that she's not crazy, she's crazy. And Miranda's not going to do it. As far as we know, maybe she will. Maybe there's something to benefit from Miranda if she cooperates with Cassie's story. Last thing, I thought this was so strange. So obviously, Cassie and Annie have a huge falling out. And you kind of totally understand where Annie's coming from. She just can't deal with it anymore. She's tired of making excuses for Cassie. Cassie is a drunk. She doesn't want to deal with it. Cassie says to Annie, you're going to feel so sorry when I wind up dead, or something along those lines. And you have to wonder if Cassie is predicting her own death. I mean, it would make sense. She's alienated all of her friends. She spends this entire episode with Sketchy Buckley, who I'm not sure if he's an FBI agent anymore, but he's just too random to not be significant in the story, but I have yet to figure out why. So she spends this entire episode with people that she doesn't really know. She's alone. So that's a pretty good opportunity for whoever's trying to kill her, whoever made that list, to murk her. I wonder if Cassie's going to end up dead at the end of this series. That would be really sad. You know, everyone loves a good story where the hero's a hot mess, but then they get their life together at the end of it. But maybe that's not the case, you know? Not every story has to end the same. So you guys, that is everything I have for The Flight Attendant episode 6 on HBO Max. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about all these kind of ideas that I've been throwing out there. Let me know if you have any ideas. I'd love to get a nice rapport going. Don't forget to like this video if you like this video. Subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell to be notified of all things SIBZ. Chris just finished covering The Walking Dead: The World Beyond, and yeah, thanks for watching.